Welcome to Weird Historian. You may have lived through some of these moments, others were quietly covered up. In this video, we'll walk through real photos that were once hidden from the public eye until today. A Hungarian soldier poses with an abandoned Czechoslovak tank during the invasion of Carpatho, Ukraine, March 1939. A Japanese-American family returns home from an internment camp to find their home vandalized with racial slurs, 1945. A righteous army of rebel Korean guerrillas photographed in 1907 during the prelude to Japanese annexation. A Soldier's Farewell, Penn Station, Woman with Handkerchief, 1944. A South African Defence Force officer with his new secretary in office, 1979. A USCG member explores tunnels on Iwo Jima in 1983, nearly 40 years after the devastating battle against Japan. Live artillery shells, untouched since the war, are at right. Adolf Hitler, surrounded by adoring Austrian women and girls, 1939. African-American young adults being sprayed by a fireman's hose, Birmingham, Alabama, 1963. After the creation of Czechoslovakia, Austro-Hungarian state symbols were gathered on pieces of wood to be burned, October 1918. American protest in San Francisco after the German annexation of the Sudetenland, September 1938. An executioner from India in 1903. Andrew Johnson at a banquet with General Ulysses S. Grant to his left and Secretary of Navy Gideon Welles to his right, 1866. As a crowd watches, condemned murderer Harry Burdett is baptized on his request in Sugar Creek. Such requests weren't unusual, but this one drew attention mainly because Burdett was briefly taken from prison for it. Atlanta Mayor Ivan Allen Jr. escorts Coretta Scott King home the night Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated, April 1968. British Prime Minister Winston Churchill meeting with Ibn Saud, the king and founder of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, 1945. Canadian members of the United Nations Emergency Force on the border between Egypt and Israel, 1962. Captured rebels after the 2-week siege at the Grand Mosque of Mecca, in which 600 militants fought to overthrow the Saudi monarchy. The 60 survivors were publicly beheaded shortly after. Charles Manson's initial booking photo after the Tate LaBianca murders, 1969. Corporal Michael Dunn after the amputation of his legs in 1864, the result of injuries received in a battle near Dallas, Georgia, 1864. Dunn also fought at Gettysburg, Antietam, and Fredericksburg. Doug Hegdahl, a Vietnam War POW, pretended to be illiterate, convincing his captors he was harmless. He was given freedom around the camp, he secretly memorized details of 256 fellow POWs, which he shared after his 1967 release. Dylan Klebold's vandalized and later removed Memorial Cross in Littleton, 1999. Filipinos who were part of a guerrilla medical unit pose for a group photo after liberation of the city by American forces during World War II. General Tahsin Yazici celebrating Sergeant Nekdet Ayhan after successfully repelling a Chinese attack, Korean War, 1952. German soldiers peeling potatoes, Tarshento, 1917. In 1890, Lakota Sioux were massacred by the U.S. 7th Cavalry at Wounded Knee, South Dakota. The violence remains the deadliest mass shooting in American history. 19 Medals of Honor will be awarded to soldiers who take part. James Baldwin with sailors from the U.S. 6th Fleet in Sultanahmet, Istanbul, 1965. Japanese-American lady smiles as officer opens her baggage to check it before entering the Santa Anita Park, Arcadia, California, April 1942. Lenin and Stalin at Gorky, just outside of Moscow, September 1922. Masako Owada, current Empress of Japan, in a Soviet kindergarten, USSR 1967. Members of the Hitler Youth in the Luftwaffe Auxiliary Service in training, Germany, February 1943. Men of 72nd Highlanders and veterans of the Crimean War in full battle dress, 1854. William Noble, Alexander Davison, and John Harper. Mrs. Dorothea P. E. Mejia, welfare agent, nurse of public welfare, and her assistant convert captured Japanese parachutes into nurses' uniforms, Philippines, January 1945. On February 8, 1943, Nazis hung 17-year-old Lepa Radic for being a Yugoslavian partisan during World War II. When they asked her the names of her companions, she replied, "You will know them when they come to avenge me." Ondina Valla, the first Italian woman to win gold in the Olympics, giving the fascist salute on the podium, 1936. Philippe Pétain, head of the collaborationist regime of Vichy France from 1940 to 1944, on trial for treason at the Palais de Justice, Paris. He was previously considered a war hero after leading the French army in World War I. Photo of Abdulaziz bin Abdurrahman Al Saud, commonly known in the West as Ibn Saud, and the first king of Saudi Arabia. Saud retook his father's territory and built the modern Saudi kingdom through 3 decades of conquest, 1910. Saddam Hussein and his half-brother at their trial. Seeing off the soldiers of the Leningrad People's Militia who are heading to the front, July 1941. Shooting training of criminal and protection police in North Rhine-Westphalia, 1970s. Soldier Behind Shield, Northern Ireland, 1973. South Dakota-class battleship USS Indiana, seen here ready for the trigger pull which sent her down the ways into the James River at Newport News, 1941. South Korean soldiers resting after a night of fighting on the front lines at Yongdok, Korea, July 1950. Soviet children that were crippled by German shelling recovering in a hospital in Leningrad, April 1942. Soviet Germans going for a walk in the Volga German, 1939. Terry and Steve Irwin posing with a 175-year-old tortoise, Harriet, at the Australian Zoo, 2005. The Arctic Ocean photographed in the same place 107 years ago versus today. Anne-Margaret arriving at Phu Bai, Vietnam, 1966, for her USO tour. The expedition crosses the Grand Pajonal, 1906. US Vice President Nixon spars with Khrushchev before reporters and onlookers, including Politburo members Leonid Brezhnev, Anastas Mikoyan, and Yekaterina Furtseva at the American National Exhibition at Sokolniki Park, Moscow, 1959. William Masters, a Maori soldier of the 1st Regiment, buying cakes from a local woman in Belgium while halting during a training exercise in July 1917.